Hey guys, it's Danny. Well, another month has passed and here we are. It's almost summertime and it's so hot already here. I have already moved some of the orchids outside. Anyway, that's for a different time. Today, it is time to look back at the month of April, which was far more tolerable, but also quite full of orchids. Again, we have almost 30 orchids and I left quite a few for next time. The Phalaenopsis, yeah, there's a lot of them, but they're gonna be next time. First though, let's see which orchid was the winning orchid last month, and look at that, you guys mostly voted for the Renanthera monachica, which I can totally see. It is a beautiful orchid. It is my favorite Renanthera. Not that I've seen too many of them in bloom, I only saw two, but from the two that I saw, I prefer this one. And it is a joy to grow. If you manage to get a good healthy individual, it shouldn't be any harder than any Vandachostylis orchid. It is far more tolerant to humidity and moisture in the pot and around the roots as well, so that makes it a good candidate for a potted orchid if you like to grow it that way. But now it's time to look at the orchids which were in bloom in April, and again, don't forget you can vote for your favorite one by checking the description following the first link you can see. So with that said, don't forget to give this video a like if you end up enjoying it. Leave me a comment with your favorite orchid. A share would be great, and hey, why not subscribe? I post on a weekly basis. That said, let's start. Okay, so in no particular order, and I'm not going to narrate over all of these orchids, but let's just start with the Cattlianthe Rojo, which is such a red orchid. As you can see, she is so striking in reality as well. Fun thing, the Cattlianthe Rojo was, I do believe, my very first ever Cattleya, although it was not this one. I acquired a different hybrid from someone back home. They didn't know the color of it, or maybe they did, I don't remember, but I do remember it was a surprise when it bloomed and I absolutely loved it. This orchid is not fragrant, but it does take the very same type of care like any other Cattleya, which you will find a link to down below in the description if you scroll in each of my videos. But even without a fragrance, I do still consider this one to be one of my favorite orchids. Maybe it helped that it was my very first Cattleya. Then let's look at a few summer blooming orchids, which they are in full glory right now. Some of them are growing vegetatively while blooming at the same time. Some of them just finished blooming ever since I put them in the Milspo cabinet, which I do have a video on. I'll link you to it down below. Everything has gone great with them. Now in the summertime, indeed, the Milspo cabinet stays quite a little bit warm, but I do temperature control my grow room, so that's not an issue. I constantly have 28 degrees Celsius, let's say, in the cabinet, and that works out just great for them. They love it. Bonus, a little spoiler, I will have the Gigabelle in bloom very soon, which is so exciting. Two of the highlights from these Phalaenopsis though were the Orchid World Boni Vasquez and the Super Zebra. They were first time bloomers. I've always wanted the Boni Vasquez, and here we go, she is lovely. Another highlight this month was the Perreiraara Rapeepath, because the tag got rubbed off. So I had no idea what it was. I could make out that it was a Bangkok Sunset hybrid. I just did not remember what I purchased. And then I remembered. It is another Rapeepath. I have another one, but this one is a little bit different. It is the pink variety or the peach variety. I'm not entirely sure. They seem to go under many names, but this one is fairly different than my previous one, which we saw in bloom a few months ago. You can see the flowers have that beautiful peachy pink shade, and in reality, dare I say, it looks better. There are some colors this camera simply doesn't pick up properly, and it's not just this camera, cameras in general. They do the best they can, but reality pretty much is always better in my opinion, so I do really love this one, particularly when sun hits the blooms and gives them a sort of neon quality to them. I love it. I'm so happy. It is what it is, and it doesn't look identical to my previous Rapeepath. And hey, look at that! Another one of those orchids which I had a long time ago, I lost, and then it took a while until I found again. This is a no ID Cattleya that I just called Lemon. I think because it smells a little bit like lemons. Well, I found it for sale a couple of years ago. I bought it and it has bloomed finally. It looks beautiful, and guess what? It does smell slightly lemony, but now having more experience, I can tell you that it's not the most perfumed Cattleya ever. It does smell pretty moderately. It smells a little bit like lilies with vanilla, with lemon, you know, the typical Cattleya fragrance. Yeah, this is how she smells. It is lovely. She stayed in bloom for a month, which is great for a Cattleya. It's not a Phalaenopsis, and I'm super happy to have it. It's one of those orchids that will never go away from my collection. Next up, we have one of those Neophoenicia hybrids, currently Vandas. This is Vandachostylis Pinky, which I potted in the beautiful glazed repot me pots. I will link you to the video down below. It has done beautifully, and I absolutely love these pots for Neophoenicia hybrids because they don't tend to get very large. One thing I think I would have changed is to add a little bit more sphagnum moss than I did. Maybe I would have done a full sphagnum moss pot and topped off with bark, because it is very ventilated, and as the roots grow and the orchid grows, they absorb more and more water. So the next repotting, which will not be this year, it will be next year, will be pretty much full sphagnum moss. Other than that, I love the setup. Next up, we have Cattleya Princess Jacky, which is the name that we gave this orchid. It is not a registered name. It is a no ID white Cattleya, which I'm trying to identify. A long time ago, I told you it might be the Yuki Bridal something something, and many of you have tagged me in pictures on Instagram telling me that it smells beautiful, it kind of looks like it. I have to say that my intermedia that bloomed this month smelled like nothingness. So I'm pretty sure that the Princess Jacky is not an intermedia alba like most people would assume, because it looks pretty similar. I'm telling you, it looks like pretty much 100 other orchids. They're alba versions, but intermedia it's not. So the search continues. This orchid smells beautiful. You can find it in flower shops here in Europe at least, but not only, so do look out for it. Another highlight this month was the Leptotes bicolor, which we talked a little bit about in my miniature orchids you should know about video that was last week. This took me by surprise with her scent. It is fragrant in the nighttime, and I had a Leptotes in bloom before, but I just did not detect any scent. With this one, I did, and it was beautiful, and I really like it. Cannot wait for the next blooming to happen, because the flower only lasted for about 2 weeks on this one. And the good thing is, with age, the blooming improves as well. So at some point, this orchid will be full of flowers. Imagine that. I would highly recommend it if you don't have a lot of space, if you want a fragrant miniature orchid, which is not a Phalaenopsis. And as you can see, mine is potted in a pretty swamp planter. It does absolutely fine. Surprise, surprise! This month we also had a Cymbidium in bloom. Yes, I do actually have 2 Cymbidiums on the terrace. One of them bloomed in April, there is another one which is in bloom right now, it's a more whitish one, and they stayed on the terrace all year long. In summer and winter as well, and they survived. So I think I can keep Cymbidiums on my terrace. I do believe I want to put them in a self-watering pot because summertime is so incredibly hot. I need to water them every single day, or at most every 2 days in the heat of summer, which is 6 months a year. The heat of summer here is 6 months. Summertime is 8 months, and the rest is a sort of spring. Kinda that's the weather here, especially if you're coming from a temperate climate like me. So I think Cymbidiums with a little bit of sheltering from the very high winds, they do great on my terrace. Maybe I'm gonna get myself more, which would be great because I don't really have too many videos on Cymbidiums. They're big, they don't fit anywhere in the greenhouse, so I stayed away from them, but now I definitely will try them more on the terrace. No care video about them just yet because I don't really trust myself to give you the best information on the internet just yet, which is what I like to do. So I would rather postpone it just to give you the best information I can. Maybe next year, we'll see how that goes, but I will start to make videos on them. The next video will be on a repotting because I do want to transfer these guys to self-watering pots. I can't do it anymore. By the way, they're potted in soil, but we'll talk more about it when we get there. So that is about it for this month. I hope you guys enjoyed. I hope some of these orchids made it to your wish list. You do have more information on the bottom of the screen, as you know, if you want some quick tips about them. And of course in the description, more videos that I think are pertinent to today's subject. And with that said, I hope you guys have a great end of spring for some of you, beginning of summer for some of us, and I also hope you have a wonderful day. Subscribe to my channel for more orchid videos, tutorials, experiments, updates, and other fun orchid subjects. If you wish to support the channel, do consider becoming a member or visit the merch store linked down below in the description. You can also follow me on Instagram and Facebook. It's always nice to stay in touch there as well, and I'll see you all next time. Bye!